All right. Welcome, everybody. This is our Women in Engineering panel. This is the end of the road for our manufacturing month, and we're very, very excited about being able to share what women we have that are in engineering and what got them there, and really what they enjoy about it. So I'm going to keep the introductions. I'm going to go through the introductions of all of them, and then we'll start right into the panel. Luisa Espinosa, wave your hand. There you are. Toyota Motor Manufacturing Texas Body Well
I
Department.
don't hear nothing.
She has a bachelor's degree in manufacturing engineering and graduated from the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. Then we have Damiana Gonzales. Wave your hand. There you go. HEB Grocery, the dairy manufacturing plant. She has a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and graduated from the Tarleton State University. Then we have Sandra Hawkins. There she is. She works for Southwest Research Institute, and she has an MBA from the University of Texas at San Antonio and a bachelor's degree in industrial engineering, Texas A&M University. And then we have Mary Holloway, Toyota Motor Manufacturing Texas Assembly Department, and she has a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and graduated from the University of New Mexico. So this is our lineup today, and we're going to have all kinds of different types of things. As you can see, they all have different types of engineering degrees, which is going to make a really good conversation. So I'm going to get right into it, and I'm going to ask Mary, since I stopped with you, how long have you been an engineer?
I've been an engineer full-time for 3 years, but before I graduated college, I graduated with about 18, 20 months of internship co-op experience, so
Mhm.
3+ years.
Thank you. And then Sandra, how long have you been an engineer?
A little bit longer, 25 years.
25 years. Wow, that's impressive. That is
That's awesome.
absolutely amazing. Yes. I'm sure we're going to hear some good stories from you today. All right. And then we're going to go over to Damiana. How long have you been an engineer?
I graduated in 2017, and I've been working here in HB manufacturing since about June 2018, so about 2.5 years now.
2.5 years. Nice. And Luisa, how long have you been an engineer?
Yeah, I was on co-op for Toyota in 2018, and I graduated my bachelor's in 2017, and then after that, I started graduate school. But officially, a year and 5 months officially
Year and five
with
months.
Toyota.
Okay. So we got from 25 years all the way to a year and 5 months. So we have some brand new engineers and seasoned engineers. So thank you very much. So my next question for you, and I'll start with you, Louisa, since I stopped with you. Why engineering?
So engineering, pretty much, my dad, he's an engineer, so he always like pursued me to go for something that challenges me and builds me up as a person, right? And as a professional. So that's the reason why I chose engineering. He pretty much was my inspiration to pursue it. And honestly, it has helped me a lot to be more wise on my decisions, to be more analytical in my thinking. And that's pretty much why I chose that to go for an engineering path.
Wow, thank you so much for that. So I'm going to go on to you, Damiana. Why engineering for you?
So when I was younger, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I really enjoyed physics and math in high school. So I reached out to my teachers and was asking for degree recommendations because I didn't know I did do to want to go to college, and they recommended engineering. So I, pursued it in my freshman sophomore year. I knew that was something I wanted to do, so I just continued doing that one.
Nice. Okay, Mary, what about you? Why engineering?
Well, yeah, I was always really interested in math and science, and I liked it when the problems started making sense, right? Like you think about a cannon shooting, stuff like that. And then
Mhm.
you're like, well, do I just want to study things, or maybe I can solve problems, right? So those those like math problems always taught you to do critical thinking. And then I figured out that engineering was using critical thinking to solve real world problems, but not all the research. Anyways, it started about the same.
Right. And you know what? That's very, very true about math. Math is what sets us up for the critical thinking. And we just can't survive, as engineers without that critical thinking and being able to go in there and understand and solve those type of problems. So Sandra, I'm going to end with you on the same question. Why engineering?
Kind of like Mary just mentioned, I enjoyed the math and the science going through school. And so when I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, I was fortunate enough to have an older sister who was going to Texas A&M, and she was actually a computer science major, but she was taking engineering course as an elective, and she really liked it. And so just talking to her about that class, and it was an industrial engineering class, which is what I wound up going into. Talking to her about that class kind of pushed me into the industrial engineering route.
Wow. So it seems like there was always somebody of influence in you when you came to making that decision and getting into engineering. And so it's always nice to have that influencer and having that support just going to support you to go through that, because we all know that women in engineering is still a very male dominated career field. And we just don't have enough women out there. And we really want to understand some of that today in the panel. So Sandra, I'm going to stay with you and I'm going to ask you this. Now, this is a little bit different. It was not like the why in engineering, but I want to find out why you chose a specific field of engineering that you're in.
So I remember, I don't know if it was junior high or high school, but we went on a field trip to a Frito-Lay plant. And I remember being pretty impressed. And I remember they took off chips off the line and gave it to us to eat right then. And I was like, so that got me interested in the manufacturing piece of how things are made. Just it kind of impressed me at the time. And again, industrial engineering was picked primarily because my sister, again, said it was a fun class, because the class she was looking at how do you optimize scheduling, like at an airport, how do you manage all of the different airplanes coming in and get that scheduled? And that just seemed so impressive. So I went that industrial engineering route, because if you're not familiar with industrial engineering, it is one of the disciplines that really looks at the interactions between machines as well as the people. So it kind of looks at both sides of things. So I liked that aspect of it.
Nice. Yes, you're absolutely right about industrial engineering. It's almost like if you like getting your hands dirty, you're going to do it when you're in that field, right? So it's pretty cool. Mary, I'm going to go to you next and ask you why the certain field of engineering that you're in.
Mechanical engineering is the field that I'm in. It's what I went to school for. So it's a lot of classes on how things work, heat transfer, fluid dynamics, a little bit about mechanics and motions. And then, I thought that stuff was pretty cool. But my first internship and my first exposure to engineering was in the world of manufacturing. And heat transfer in manufacturing is a motor overheating, or mechanics is a part getting delivered and getting jammed in the system, or having a fluid transfer or something like that. And it all started making a lot of sense. It was all really cool to see it all come together, and it was really easy for me to see and start like visualizing those problems and being able to problem solve them. But okay, sorry. The question was, why mechanical?
Right.
I always thought I wanted to do like mechanical design, because that's what you think of a mechanical engineer, right? Designing an engine, designing this. And I started thinking about who my customer would be if I was designing an engine. So if I designed an engine, I would be designing it for a race car driver or a person on the streets. So I'd be designing some internal component, some this, and it would make all these people happy, and I would have no influence in them. So in the manufacturing world, it's really interesting because I get to design these different components, these different machines, these different tools. So I'm still designing mechanical components, but then it's cool. I get to see my customer, the person using my tool to install a part, the person using my tool to pick up a part, or something like that. So mechanical engineering, I still get to design components, I get to solve problems, and in a manufacturing world, it's cool because my customer is the operator.
Excellent, excellent. Damiana, why electrical engineering?
So I studied electrical engineering. Like I said, I didn't really know what I wanted exactly. I reached out to my physics teacher, and he was the one who really played that big part in influencing me into engineering and told me that I would need to pick a concentration. When I was younger, I really liked electronics. In high school, I used to start I was taking apart iPhones and repairing them, kind of the technician side of things. So then and then my strongest subject in physics in high school was the electrical side of things. So I continued to pursue it, and sure enough, I did truly enjoy it. However, currently I'm working in more of an industrial setting, more of a mechanical setting. I'm in manufacturing, very different. So I had a lot to learn while I was here, but I loved it, and it was very intriguing. It gave me a huge insight to a totally different side of things, and I ended up here because previously, while in college, I was working at HEB in the stores as a cashier and then a deli associate. So I reached out to those managers and got this opportunity within manufacturing, and I wanted the work experience and to get whatever exposure I could get. So in the meantime, in this time period, I've done a lot of continuous improvement. I'm a reliability technician, a lot of process improvement, the people side of things, and then the root cause of the machine failure side of things is a lot of my experience and what I've experienced so far. However, I can see the transition of kind of the industry, and there's this new industry 4.0, I believe, where we have the industry internet of things, industrial internet of things, and they're interconnecting things and using a lot of this data science and maybe even one day machine learning to get more efficient. So that intrigues me, and that gets me super excited. I love to hear data science, just that aspect of how the two worlds are integrating. So that electrical side of things still very much excites me, and I see how it's kind of starting to get integrated in the industrial world of it. And there's just this passion that I can't get rid of, that I just love the electrical side of things.
That is so awesome. Thank you for your story. Luisa, what about you?
So yeah, my first introduction to pretty much manufacturing engineering was when I was in high school. So they had different events in school showing the different engineerings, right? And then I remember the first event that I won that was actually for manufacturing. So that's when I learned manufacturing was very broad. You can either be designing, work on the process, right? Know how your process works, everything that relates to statistics, quality, everything that it's hands on. So that's when pretty much I knew I wanted to do that, right? And then I had my internship with Toyota, when it was my actual first impression of how a manufacturing plant works, right? How my process works, everything. So that's when I knew this is it, this is my place, right? So yeah, that's right now it's yeah, that's what I love, right? I love working at the station, right? Working also with everything that's mechanical. That's also the what I do, right? I work with the maintenance team. I work with other shops, right? Also the interaction that we have here with different shops. We have paint, we have assembly, so it's very broad. So that's what I love about manufacturing engineering. Mhm.
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, so for me, I never worked in engineering in the manufacturing world. I was in the biomedical field. So the engineering there was a little bit different. So I really was more like a systems engineer. So I know what my world of mechanical engineers is, Mary, is people sitting behind the computers and designing stuff, that's going to be made. And they typically don't make it. Somebody else is going to make it for them. But that's my world. And then when I looked at the electrical and electronics engineer, they were drawing out the schematics and all those type of things that need to be done. But also too, they they also put together, they seemed like their work was a lot more complicated, and it seemed like a lot more interesting, because for the mechanical engineers on my side, I always thought, well, they're just drawing boxes. That was my exposure to mechanical engineering. But I just enjoyed the systems because I got to go down to the lab and build everything up. And my favorite part about this was, I'm going to be a little devious here, but I love to do the smoke tests. I wanted to see if I can blow up a capacitor or do something, because that's part of it, right? Making sure the equipment works correctly. But that was a lot of fun doing that. But manufacturing is so much different because you're interacting with your customer all the time, and you're in there also to putting together solutions for the operator. Really, that's what it boils down to, making sure that the operations go nice and smoothly. So thank you so much for your answers. I think some of you have already started answering some of the other questions for me, which is okay. I'm going to skip question number 2 because you already talked about the influence to your career path you've taken. So, and you've talked about your field that you got into, but you also spoke about already really what makes you passionate about it. So this is my next question for you, and I think it's a real important question. And I'll start with you, Luisa. What makes you want to stay in engineering?
So as I mentioned, right, engineering for me, right, it's my passion, right? It's something that has made me grown as a person, right? As a human and as a professional, right? My decisions are more, wide, and I'm more analytical in my thinking, and that's what I love, right? I love being here, and I love knowing how my process my process works, and everything, right? How do we make things from beginning to end, and how it's, for example, in Toyota, right? How is my how we building things, right? Quality for our end customers. So that's what I pretty much love.
Okay. Damiana, what makes you want to stay?
So I definitely enjoy the problem solving and things. Like I said, my career kind of transitioned when I got into the career field to industrial and continuous improvement, which is a lot of working with people, the people side of things. Um, I would say, honestly, in my personal opinion, sometimes when it comes to programming, it can be a little easy because you program you did a little test, it worked, you're good to go. Whereas people, it's ever changing, your environment's changing, a lot of different things, the culture can change. So you're problem solving continuously, it never stops. And I love that. I love, trying to get a new problem and coming up with an idea or a solution, proposing it. Growing up, I always was like an idea person. I always had all these ideas. So I want to stay in engineering because I feel like I can implement these ideas, and hopefully, the ideas can be cost effective or innovative and make people's lives easier. And when I see them smile because they got a new process or they got a new tool, and there's so much relief because an issue that they had is now gone, that makes me so happy. And that's what I want to pursue, is just to continue to see people smiling with these innovations and these ideas and everything.
Nice. It's always exciting to see that you have that passion, and it's just the one thing that when you wake up in the morning, I'm going to enjoy my day. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Mary, what about you? What makes you want to stay?
I think I'll stay an engineer until I've solved every problem that has ever come across me. Like, I know, say I'll be working on something and I figure it out, and then the rest is just all the busy work. I get so bored with all that busy work, right? You're like, anyways, I think being an engineer is so diverse. You have so many opportunities to keep your career. Like, you get little like refreshes or little like makeovers on your career, because Toyota's a really great example. I'm starting my career in assembly, so I'm thinking about nuts and bolts and parts inserting into another. I can apply those engineering skills to that, or I can try and transfer to body weld and try Luisa's aspect, try and work more with robots, machines, welding. It's still that critical thinking. It's still that problem solving. It's still that big picture. I could do the same in paint. I could do the same in plastics. I mean, I'm just trying to be an ambassador for getting this like engineering, critical thinking, problem solving, it's like an addiction almost. And then it's really cool because you realize you can solve any problem. And it's really cool once you start like dipping your toes in the new problems. And I think it's really cool. And people like to see fresh eyes on things. And so it's actually really funny. You'll see an engineer, or I'll see an engineer be in the same role for like 12, 15 years. And then they kind of get the same problems thrown at them. And then you get a new person in the group and they're seeing the same problem and maybe they solve it in a couple weeks. And it's just a really cool organism. It always has the same like structure, but different facelift every time. That's cool.
All right, that's awesome. Sandra, so you have a little bit more years,
Just a little.
more tenure, but what really has made you want to stay as well?
So in my current role at Southwest Research Institute, I am working on a project. It's called Texas Manufacturing Assistance Center. So I get to go in and help manufacturers with if they're having quality issues, if they're having efficiency issues. So the manufacturers that we typically work with are these smaller manufacturers that may not have an engineer on staff. So we get to go in and help. So I love it because week to week, I don't know what problems I'll be facing. I get to meet tons of new people. I get to see how a lot of products are made, the issues they're having. And kind of like Mary mentioned, a lot of the companies have the same problems. It's a different process. But the same thought process, the same thinking can solve the problems. And so just taking those lessons learned to the different organizations is great. I enjoy it.
That is so true. I've always, when I've gone out to talk to, middle school, high school kids, and I'll tell them that whatever you're learning, you're going to put into your toolbox, basically. It's going to be your career box, really. And whatever you're learning, you're going to be able to take with you, and you'll be able to use those same tools no matter what you're doing. So that's what's really cool about engineering, because you can do the same thing, right? And I really love the enthusiasm that I'm hearing from everybody. It is absolutely awesome. I believe that we probably picked the best 4 female engineers in the city of San Antonio today. It's pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get into some other questions here. So this next question is, why is there such a disparity for women in the STEM fields? And I'll start with you, Sandra, on this one.
I think several of us mentioned, we were strong in math or we were strong in science. And so I think a lot of times when you have that foundation, it's easy to make that leap into engineering. But if you don't feel comfortable in math, you don't feel comfortable in science, you're not going to choose engineering. So I think we need to encourage, and so kind of off tangent here, but I was at talking to one of my daughter's teachers, and he's her English teacher. And he said, I don't want kids to say, I'm not a reader. And I think we need to have kids say, I'm not good at math. No, you are good at math. Maybe you just aren't looking at it right. Or, we need to encourage people to feel comfortable in that math and that science and that. And I think that's one of the struggles is if we're not feeling comfortable, we're not going to go into that discipline.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
How do we solve that?
Yeah. That's like solving world hunger.
Right.
Yes, but I'm sure that we can take a chunk out of it, that's for sure. Mary, what about you? Why is there such disparity for women in the STEM fields?
Well, I like the question, but I have an answer, but I don't think I have a direct answer to that question. I don't know why there's disparity in the field, but I do know that, so say the 5 of us speaking here today, say we were all good at math. I definitely know plenty of women peers of mine who, and leaving high school, entering college, were not good at math. Then they said, hey, I'm going to go for engineering. And they caught up to me in school. right? Like, it doesn't matter where you started. It doesn't matter where you want to go. It doesn't matter how many times you change your mind. What the thing is that say you are having some hesitation on going forward in any career path. This doesn't have to be engineering. Just try it out. So I think if we, went and tried it out, every time you try something new, it gets a little easier. I know I did that. First time I tried out something that was really scary, and maybe that's why, maybe it's just fear. I don't know. The first really, really scary thing I tried, I was 16 and I went on a foreign exchange in another country for a year. I went to Denmark and I didn't know the language. That was the scariest thing in the world for a 16-year-old to do. I didn't see my parents for a year. It was crazy. Thank goodness we had Facebook. But but after I tried that and found out that I could make it through something hard, I tried every opportunity that came before me. I tried sports, I tried food, I tried everything. I tried careers. And once I started trying things, I started listening to how other people tried things. I started talking to my professors. We had this professor, he was the nuclear engineering, like, tenured professor at our school. His degree was not in nuclear engineering, it was in HVAC. And then he had a PE for structural engineering. So it's like, hey, he's trying everything. So I kind of realized that the people who were getting through, who were getting up there, they had to start somewhere. They had to try. It doesn't matter where everyone starts. It matters that they all kept trying. So I think we need to encourage each other. Try it, and then if you fall down, there's gonna be someone to pick you up. You're gonna keep falling down, and you're gonna keep getting up. And we should just help each other, and it's gonna be great. And doing stuff like this, I think, hopefully you go, if you get a hold of me or you get a hold of someone else, ask them, like, how did you make it through this hard time? And tell them you're going through a hard time. You're not the only one going through a hard time. I mean, we're all on this call today. We've been working today. We've been solving problems today, right? But there's someone there to pick me up, and there's opportunities to get through it anyways. So help yourself and help someone else. It'll be good.
Thank you for that, Mary. And what about you, Damiana?
So I'm with them also. I'm not sure why there is a disparity for women within the industry. I definitely do feel there is, and I do see there is, at least within my small world. I'm really like the only female here within this area, in this role, or in this side of the business. So I see it, and the only thing I can think of is my own personal experience and what I've gone through. I think the social aspect, honestly, of getting into engineering or getting into math and science played a factor with me. I remember that was pretty difficult. Growing up as a young child, I remember that most of the toys, and maybe this was just my perspective, and I missed something, but I felt like most of the toys as a child for girls were geared towards imagination and creativity, which is great. But I wanted to see how things work. I liked Legos, I liked puzzles, I liked the building things, and it didn't seem like that was geared or tailored towards females. It was tailored towards males. So I remember I used to want to play with it, and there was comments occasionally where like, "Oh, that's a boy toy." I'm like, "Oh, but I like the way it builds and stuff." And I think that would, in naturally, socially, I'd be feel, am I doing the wrong thing? Thankfully, my mom encouraged me. She was like, "You do what you want. Like if you enjoy playing with that, you play with that." So that helped me a lot. That helped build that confidence to pursue it. And then getting older, seeing less females, I don't know very many female engineers. That played a factor as well, because you feel, sometimes you can feel alone, or you feel like you just can't relate to somebody, because there is a different. And then I think lastly, maybe a lack of mentorship, female mentors, or that those female leaders that you can look up to and ask those questions to. That might be partially my fault. Growing up, I did have a lot of difficulty in just socializing in general. So that networking and finding a mentor was difficult. but I'm learning and I'm getting there. And I think providing opportunities like this, where you can have organizations where females can reach out to or just build that community, I think that will help a lot. I think it helps you because you don't have any questions. Lastly, personally for me, there was nobody in engineering in my family, so I didn't know, what that looked like or what direction or what path to take. So I just kind of had to figure it out on my own. And thankfully, we have the internet and a couple school counselors, to help guide me and help me figure out how do I get to become an engineer. But that I think building a community and inspiring and making sure young girls feel it's okay to if you think logically, if you think critical thinking, there's an industry for that, and to encourage them, like she said, to encourage them to keep trying. And it feels like right now maybe we're pioneers of this, so it's a little difficult. And maybe the next couple, maybe the next couple generations or next couple years, it's going to be a lot of pioneering, and it will be difficult. But hopefully, we'll forge a path where it becomes a very normalized thing, and we know what to do. We look at it, we have mentors, we have communities, we have what we need, the resources to succeed. Hopefully that'll maybe be a solution for it in the future.
Wow, that's pretty heavy, right? Yeah, but I think you're right on about the mentorship. I know that there's probably a lot of schools. I would encourage any of you to go to your local school, see if there's a way that you can actually mentor an engineering group, and maybe take some of those young females and kind of walk them through that. I mean, of course, you're going to be doing it on your own time, but I think that's where you can actually start making an impact on it. So that was very, very powerful. Thank you for that. Luisa, what about you? Why is there such disparity for women in the STEM fields?
So yeah, definitely I agree with Damiana. I think it's a social thing. And also I can experience my experience, right? When I was younger, I always I was in sports, right? I played soccer, basketball, volleyball, and I mean I was playing with the boys, right? It was, for me it was never a difference, right? And we are both capable of doing the same thing. And for me here at the shop, right? I do see it. I mean, we're two girls, right? For only the mass production side of body weld, right? But I've never really feel like there's any difference, and we're as much capable as everybody. Everybody was pretty much created to do the same awesome things, right? To be um, creating amazing things. So yeah, I think it's a more social thing. But and also like what Sandra was saying, I think it's encouragement and confidence, right? And if you feel confident about doing something, just do it. And if you want to be, if you are passionate about something, go for it, right? There's no, yeah, there shouldn't be anything stopping you, right? And at the end, you're the one that are making that decision, not society, right? You're the one of your future and your own decisions, right? Society is not the one that is going to make that decision for you. You're going to be doing this for the rest of your life. So definitely I encourage you to be passionate about what you do, and pursue your dreams, right? So
Wow, you know what? That's actually going to lead right into the next question I have.
Mary, can I chime
Yes,
in there?
sure
I
you
was
can.
I was thinking about something as Louisa was talking. So we both work in the same plant, and she's in body weld and I'm in assembly. And she mentioned the other female engineer in their group, and I was just thinking, I was like, when I go to body weld and I'm like, I have a problem with this part that was welded to this part, I have the exact same respect for the men in body weld and the women engineers in body weld. I would be so happy to work with anybody in that group. And I hope it's the same with my group and the QE group and all the other groups. And so
Mhm.
it's kind of, I think it's maybe more of like an inward thing, right? Like I see the social stuff pointed towards me, but what I definitely know when I go approach another group, I think it is absolutely equal. Anyways, so I think maybe it is, we're probably more at fault ourselves than other people at fault. So that's
Yeah.
when you need that encouragement. But so here's a little bit of encouragement, right? So
Mhm.
just my day to day, the people I problem solve with, they're both male and female. It's all the same. Sometimes you
Wow,
get the
thank you so
problems,
much.
sometimes you don't.
Mhm. All right, so we're going to go right into the next question. Mary, I'm going to start with you since you're the last one that spoke. How do you suggest we help young ladies build self-esteem and self-confidence and pursuing STEM or technical careers?
How to build self-esteem out of that. Sorry, I don't have an answer for this right away. I think I've iterated on it a lot. You gotta be okay with trying to pick yourself back up again. And sometimes you don't bounce back the first day every time. You're gonna hit walls, and don't let that affect your self-esteem. Let it affect your, take a step back from the problem, whether it's a social problem or a work problem. You can be bummed that you didn't solve it out, but just make sure you don't get back up. Make sure you get back up from it. I've definitely had that going on this week, and it took me a couple days, relax, chill out. Okay, self-esteem back up. Just gonna keep trying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's good too. But a lot of times, what actually when we're looking at these young ladies, they're not even in the STEM fields yet, and I think there's a fear. There's a fear that they won't be successful in it or they can't do it. And so this is one of the areas that we can actually focus on doing things like what we're doing right now, so they can see. I mean, when I talk to each one of you, I see a very high level of confidence, and I see a very high level of self-esteem because you believe in yourselves, and that's where we have to be able to get that message out to everyone. So, Sandra, for you, same question: how would you suggest we help young ladies build self-esteem and self-confidence?
And so I think if they build self-esteem in any activity that they pursue can bleed over into going into a STEM field. So I think kids need exposure to a lot of different things to find their passion, to excel at something, and that's going to build their self-esteem. And then once they have that faith in themselves. I can do that. I can do this. And so I think that's the most important thing. Find something that you enjoy and, excel at that. And that's going to help you then, like Mary said, then you can try other things once you have that faith in yourself from one success. And so build on that.
Nice. Luisa? So what about you?
So I think, what Mary was saying, right? And I can give an example. Sometimes, nothing's perfect, right? So if you fail, right, that makes you stronger, and that gives you more confidence and be like, okay, I failed, but I can get back up and try it again and do different things, what I can be doing different and what is going to help me out. And yeah, having someone, right, as your mentor, like somebody that um cheers you up, right, and gives all that knowledge, right, for you to be confident and be like, all right, if she can do it, why cannot do it, right? Like, I want to be that like her, right? And pretty much change the world, right? So I think that's pretty much what I think.
Okay, and I'm going to finish up with you, Damiana.
So how can we help young ladies build self-esteem and self-confidence pursuing STEM? I'd say honestly that's something I am still dealing with today. I'd like to eventually get into leadership roles, and I think that I still encounter those moments where I do have a little bit of aversion or a lack of confidence to get into that. Personally, my story or the way I've been able to get through that is experience, and it's I don't know. I guess I'm kind of lucky in something. So I remember in high school. I was having a conversation and I didn't know what academic decathlon was. And I came across a teacher and she was recruiting for academic decathlon. We were having a conversation and she was really encouraging me to join because, I like academics and in that aspect. So when we were talking, she pointed out to me and said, how you're not making eye contact with me right now. Well, we will teach you how to do that. And at that moment, that stuck with me because I was like, wow, I don't make eye contact, which I thought was interesting. but I was very nervous. I was very shy. So in that academic decathlon class, I learned public speaking skills. So that experience, the first couple times were scary, but I had something to kind of work with. I had a how to address it. That public speaking skills, um, even though they were, at the very entry level, high school level, helped me build confidence. So that was kind of my first step. And then I think for me, and maybe a lot of other females might relate, because if we don't have that guidance, we don't have engineers in our family, or we don't have female mentorship, it can seem very overwhelming and cloudy. What direction do I want to go in? I like problem solving. I like puzzles and Legos. I like helping people, but trying to navigate that was difficult. So for me, personally, in that time, understanding a high level, understanding what direction to go to, career path, a lot of that I've gotten some help from counselors or any kind of advisors. A lot of it I've done on my own. Honestly, YouTubing a concept and then putting the word explained after that has helped me a lot. So like electrical engineering explained, and it just gives you like a 5-minute overview breakdown of what it is. That's helped me understand, okay, this is something I want to pursue, versus taking a bunch of classes and it feeling very cloudy and why they're all problem solving. So which one do I want? So really one is public speaking, pursuing public speaking skills or some kind of presentation skills help that confidence, and then understanding it help that confidence too, because it didn't feel so overwhelming and so cloudy.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. So one of the things, and this is for our audience out there, when we use the word fail, all it means is the first attempt in learning. That's what it means, first attempt in learning. If you look at how many times Thomas Edison failed when he was trying to create electricity, it's okay, because that's when we actually will learn the most and the best. And then we pick ourselves up and we continue working on. So very, very good answers with that. So what I'd like to do now is just go on to the next question. What is the best path for young ladies to take while they're in junior high and high schools for careers in engineering? And I'll start with you. Let's see. Damiana, I'll start with you.
The best pass. So I think definitely math and science heavy classes are important. If you have the opportunity to be in some kind of training, magnet school, if you're really interested and there's not an opportunity within your school in terms of like electives, if there's any kind of camps or anything you can go to just kind of get a feel, I think that's really good. But anything that's math heavy, physics heavy, even chemistry, biology, any of those science classes, computer science, if you have interested and you have free time, try to find projects. There's a lot of projects you can find online, maybe to tinker on your free time, and I think that'll really help you get familiar and just build those skills that actually the job force will be looking for in the future.
Wow, thank you. Mary, what about you? Junior high and high school young ladies.
I think Damiana hit it straight on the nail. I also think that anything you want to do to be creative and have fun and try new experiences is going to be great as well. I know definitely I spent some time working at Tesla, and I know that I was one of the only few people who did not experiment with batteries, and like people were building electric golf carts themselves, and people were building electric trinkets and all this stuff. Like you could build something and you may think it's an art project, and then you may get into this interview and they may be like, have you ever done like this and this? Or like I knew someone who in an interview, anyways, if yes, math, science, all that, great. Everything else that you love, keep doing it. Keep being passionate about it. One, it's going to keep your self-esteem up. It's going to keep your morale up. It's going to help people be interested in you. And you may find some like random niche in that vast ocean of information that is your life that will help you solve a problem. So one silly problem that a hair tie helped someone solve once. There was a engineer who, this is an interview question. I need a robot to install an O-ring on a shaft. how are you going to pick this part up? And the engineer in the interview said, okay, well, have you ever put a hair tie on a wrist? The robot picks it up, spreads their hands, puts it on, right? So it's thought about a simple robotic motion where you could do that. And so it's simple crazy things like understanding how a hair tie works. Everyone knows how a hair tie works. No, men don't know how hair ties work. But there's going to be some silly little thing in your life so your path, don't be discouraged about the little quirks in your path. Just keep on going. If you can throw in some math, throw it in. If you want to take a fun elective about dancing, do it as well. But yeah, follow the advice. Just keep it your own.
Thank you. Sandra.
So my daughter is in 7th grade, but last year in 6th grade, she was doing some homework and she was doing it at home because of COVID. So I was eavesdropping and watching her, and I was so impressed with the software she was using. So I think compared to when I was a kid, kids these days, you probably aren't even aware of all the exposure you're getting to engineering things. So just like Mary was saying, the rubber band, you see all these different things and you're getting exposed, and it's awesome. So without even doing anything, you're probably getting more than I got, which is great. And I would say if you're enjoying any of those things in your classes, talk to your teachers and ask, if I like doing this, what should I think about doing next year? Is there any electives? So my daughter this year chose an elective because I pushed her into it, and she had no clue what she was getting into. And so I think we need to have our you need to understand what your different options are in school and understand what those electives entail and see if any of those spark your interest.
Thank you for that, Sandra. Luisa.
So, a little bit of background of myself I didn't mention. So I was actually in high school. I was in Mexico. So, 18 years of my life I was there, right? My mom's from Mexico. My dad's from Texas. So I had the opportunity to come for college, right? Here in the U.S. So it's kind of different. How high schoolers are. They don't really have a lot of options for like extracurricular activities until I was in college. That's when I was more involved like in STEM events. We have different associations, right? I was involved like in SWE, which is the Society of Women Engineers. So that one, and also Baja, right? So when you involve yourself in those associations in the school, they have like different awesome events for kids in high school, right? And it really like a lot of extracurricular activities, like where you involve yourself a lot. So that's pretty much all of my experience, and I really encourage you, if yeah, when you get to college, to be involved with that, because that it's gonna give you like a lot of experience, and it's gonna prepare you either for an internship, also, right? Also, go to career fairs, right? Like all of those career fairs that college offers, right? I really encourage you to go as well, right? Yeah, we have like they have different companies as Toyota and a lot of companies, right? That I really encourage you to go for. So that's like my experience.
Wow. So that's really good. I'm going to go on to the next question, and I'm going to have you answer this one here, Damiana. What degree of importance would you place on internships in your decision choosing engineering as a career?
I think they're extremely important. Pretty much very high up there within anything you do in college. I think it's very important to get an internship in as many as possible and as early as possible. Not only because of the career building and the resume, building that it'll give you, but you'll get very good exposure to what it's going to be like. That way you can just, I guess, fully understand and make sure that this is the career path you want. Unfortunately, when I was in high school, I wasn't aware of the Texas Fame program, if there was there. So I went straight into going into a bachelor's degree program. But if that was existed when I was there, I would have loved to do that and really got a full hands-on experience and really understood it. You get the earlier that comes in, the easier it is, I would say, within school because you see the application, so you get the hands-on learning. That was probably my most difficult thing or the biggest disconnect with me in school was the application of it and the
Right.
hands-on portion of it. So that's very important in my opinion.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And you're right, it's very, very important. Mary, and I know I've seen your resume, and you actually have done a lot of internships. So can you tell me or tell our audience what that degree of importance of having those internships have done for your career?
Absolutely. So most of you don't know my background. My first internship, I was 19, came to Toyota, Texas. Then I came back the next, I don't know, probably 6 months later. I did an internship in Toyota, Texas in a different department. Then I started getting cold feet, right? Like I'm 19, 20. Am I just going to be in Toyota the rest of my life? What's it like on the other side of the wall? So I had the opportunity to go to Tesla. I tried several different departments in Tesla. So not only am I traveling to different cities and states and getting those experiences, I'm going to different companies and learning not only different companies, different departments, different, am I supporting assembly manufacturing or battery manufacturing? Um, I also went to SpaceX to do another city, another not automotive, right? Aerospace. Went back to Tesla, and then I ended up at Toyota altogether. And like Damiana said, it helps you get a peek at what it's going to be like. It's just a peek, right? Just a peek. It helps you try, and there's many people there to guide you and help you succeed. It gives you funding, it gives you a resume, and it opens so many doors. One
Nice.
more thing, don't wait for career fairs to happen and for you to get an internship from that. Don't wait for your counselor to say, when are you doing an internship? At my school, there was no co-op program. So a co-op program is when you take a semester off from school and work 40, 60 hours a week. You put your graduation on delay and go work. Whereas internships, you work and go to school at the same time. So my school didn't have this. And I got the opportunity and I'm like, what am I going to do? Do I have to cancel my career for a job? What? This doesn't make sense. I went to my counselors and said, can I do this? Can I delay my graduation by a semester so I can get a semester worth of experience? And they're like, yeah. And then I kept doing it. I'm like, can I delay my graduation again? Can I delay it again? And all my peers, oh my God, they were jealous. And so they were kind of mean because kids do that. Not kids, adults do that. This was still happening in my 20s. Why are they doing that? Right? I was trying to be on our school extracurricular team in college. We were building a race car, but I went for a summer to a different city to go work for SpaceX. They weren't encouraging me. They were more like, you're not helping us with the race car. Come on, guys. So internships have meant the world of difference to me. Try and start opening your doors. I know that opening the first door to an internship is the hardest. And then I know once you have that on your resume, every other interview, it's going to open your world of opportunity so much easier. So
Wow.
that's sorry, long-winded.
No, it's okay. I mean, as that was very, very good and very interesting as well, because I think you drove it right at home and how important the internships were. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. We got about maybe 3 minutes left. So I want to actually give the opportunity to the audience if anybody would like to ask a question, and we can see what we can ask in 3 minutes. Okay. So if anybody has any questions out there, go ahead and type it into the chat and we'll see how we can answer it for you. All I have to say is that you've done a really good job. for there not to be any questions in there. So that's really good. I really, really do appreciate all of you for taking the time today to actually do this panel. I think it's important for us to speak to the youth and for the young men and women that we have out there in high school, what the career opportunities that they actually have. And I think it's encouraging to see your paths and everything. And that's the key. I mean, we have this as at the Toyota plant, right? Luisa, Mary, you know this, own your own development. It's the same thing here. You've got to own it. You've got to say, I'm going to take charge of this. My biggest motto when I was a youth and going through the various stages of my career is that somebody asked me if I can do it. I says, well, sure I can. I won't know until I try it. So it's basically like that, taking everything important. Okay, so I have a question here real fast. Is it okay to struggle with math and be slow? I'm struggling with my math classes with understanding, and I'm having self-esteem issues and self-doubt, and I want to know what being a mechanical engineer is like. Well, I think we answered the mechanical engineer piece, and I think we touched base on the math. And I think you even talked about this too, Mary, about it's okay if you don't get it right away, right? The math?
Yes.
Yes.
You got to realize every problem we're working on is a problem that someone has tried and actually failed at solving.
Mhm.
So we've been building the same Tundra for 13 years. There's still problems. That means that there was an engineer before me who didn't solve it. So if you're not solving a math problem right now, you will get more opportunities to solve it. And there's going to be more problems. So sorry, just keep trying.
Damiana?
Sorry, yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit too. And I think it's okay. I think that there's something I've learned is there's a lot of different learning styles, and sometimes it's just coincidence that certain maybe instructors or whatever path learning styles didn't meet ours. So I would just encourage you to look into if there's tutoring, online videos. Try to see, like, I know I became familiar with myself, but I'm a very visual learner. So if somebody tells me something, I have to go try to look up a video or draw it or something. So maybe if you can find your own learning style, that might help you, or just seek, a different instructor, a different perspective on how it's explained.
Right. And it's okay to ask questions. Don't ever be timid about asking questions. Always ask questions, because remember that you have control. You have control of what you're going to do with that big world of life that you have. So that's the key part to that. Well, it looks like we are absolutely out of time. We do have more questions here, but unfortunately, we were not going to be able to answer them all. But thank you, audience, for being there, and thank you for giving the questions to us, and most importantly, our panel. And now that you've all met each other, now you can actually connect, and I encourage all four of you to still connect and everything, outside of the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.